Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. And Olight just launched their Black Friday sale, so I'm sure there's some good stuff for sale and good prices out there. And they sent me a couple of pieces, headlamps, basically to test out, which I have, and highlight. And honestly, I'm impressed on both sides. Now, I use a lot of headlamps. I use headlamps almost as much as I use regular flashlights. And I've got Phoenix headlamps, a couple of those, Black Diamond. Here's a Petzl inside a case that actually allows me to use it as a diffusion. Milwaukee, Through Night, Army Tech. I've got others, lens laser, LED laser. Anyway, the Olights, they've been producing some real solid designs and updating them. So this is the Array 2 and the Perun 2. Actually, this is the Array 2 Pro. This is aluminum, beautiful manufacturing here. Lots of fins to dump the heat. Which, as I use my IR tester, yeah, this can work as a hand warmer too. You know, after it's been on a bit. But a nice innovative design. It uses a sensor to sense motion in front of it for activating other features of the light. I'll show you that in a sec. It has the battery on the back. And this is a 3350 milliamp battery and USB charging. So there you go. This weighs about 4.7 ounces, something like that. And basically I'd say they're about 2 ounces here and maybe 3.7 in the back. Feels like the distribution. Uses a fairly stout cord. This is very common to run a battery pack in the back, especially if you need higher capacity, but you want to either minimize the single point weight, like for trail running, mountain climbing, things like that, but also the profile, because as you'll see with this thing, that's going to take up a bunch of space on your forehead. It'll impede your rock climbing helmet or your motorsport helmet if you're using that, or bike helmet. But anyway, on this guy, let's take a look. What we have are basically a flood, a spot, and a red LED right here. Now, something like this basically is designed to blast out lumens and not give you a whole bunch of other features like a flood or a red. So this is really a dedicated headlamp. This is a heavy-duty, high-capacity flashlight that doubles as a headlamp. And I actually do like this form factor. I had a Surefire, one of their Minimus or Minimus 2s a long time ago. I hated the thing, got rid of it. Mainly because of the interface and the way that they housed it. It wasn't dialed in. I don't know where they're at now. I should probably look into them again. But let's go back to this guy. It has a button on the top, single button. That's, I think, great. And nothing below. I've had some that had interfaces and you'd end up firing off things trying to squeeze the light. You want to be able to do it with gloves. But if I turn this on, it's going to start out. It has memory, but I've set it for this video. It starts out with a low setting in the flood. So it's basically an area light. A lot of headlamps are area lights. They're not for, shining up on tops of mountains or something, or tall buildings. What they are is designed for kind of the human space. If I hold this down, it cycles through the main three flood brightness levels. If I double click it, what it does is it goes to the next setting, which is a combination of my flood and a spotlight. So now it's got a hot spot in the middle. Whoops, turned it off. Turn it back on. That's because the sensor picked up my finger. But anyway, this now, if I hold this down, will cycle through those same three levels. If I double click it again from that point, it goes to the red. If I hold that down, it cycles through the red levels. What are those levels? Well, if I'm working with the flood and the spot at the same time, this one here, max is 1500 lumens, and that's the max for the entire light. And then that throttles down pretty quick. Medium is 750 and low is 300. So that's quite a bit of lumens. That's plenty for what you are what you'd want a headlamp for. If I go to just the flood setting, high is going to be 800, the medium's 450, and low is 50. And 50 is a good camp amount. It doesn't completely blow out your night vision, and you're not going to kill anyone by pointing it in their face if they're not ready. And then if you go to the red light. We're working with 200, 100, and 45, and that's a pretty bright red light if you have used red lights on things. The battery pack on the back also has a set of lights here that when this is on, this is on. So it's always lighting up behind you as well, just a little bit. So I guess maybe for safety or something. This one is a different world. So first of all, I've got a strap that's much beefier. I mean, you can look at this. This is a design just as straight around the head. This also has an over the top, and that's to take off some of the weight. And this is a pretty solid light way to use this. I've had others, I think Phoenix here. This one was awful. It kept sliding back and forth. I couldn't quite center it as well. So, you know, if you pulled on this, sometimes it would loosen up. That was for this light here. But anyway, if you want to put it into the headlight mode, or headlight container, you just slide it in here. You can go either way. You know, if there's a preferred activation. On this one, if I push it once, it just turns on to whatever the memory function is. If I hold it in, it goes through its cycling. And on this guy here, it's going to be 2500 on turbo, and turbo you activate by a double click. But if I go to the regular light, it's going to be 500, 120, 30, and then I can also get a moonlight by holding the button in not terribly long, and I can get a 5 lumen moonlight, which will last 12.5 days, so that's quite a bit. Plenty good. Now, another thing with this is, and this one, is if I do a quick triple click, I'm going to kick on a SOS. You know, these are active lights. They're designed for doing adventure stuff. So if I triple click either one, it automatically goes into an SOS mode. And that really does make a big difference in the dark if you're doing, you know, search and rescue or you're trying to signal. It's huge. It is so bright, and it catches attention. So, you know, it's like an unusual whistle or something. I've also noticed that they've simplified the lockout, so it happens pretty fast. You can see it's locked out. Hold it. It used to be a lot harder. You'd, you know, hold it in for like 5 seconds, and, you know, if you didn't do it right, then you weren't sure if it was on or not, and you had to test it, but by testing it, you might undo it. Anyway, so I think they figured that out, partially because they've got such high-intensity lights now. That really has to be a possibility where you can, you know, if you roll it up and stick it in a pocket or something, it shouldn't turn on. This one does have the proximity sensor, so if I go to turbo here, move my hand closer, you can see that it throttled down. That's a safety feature. As well as with a headlamp, it's important because if you ever bring something bright in front of your face, even your hand, what can happen is you blast out your vision because all of a sudden it is so much brighter than anything around you. So these are the two that I've been working with. Both of them are solid. If you want long run time, don't mind the weight, double as a flashlight, this is an excellent choice. If you want to use it pretty much as a dedicated headlamp, you want high performance, multiple features, and this feature here I should show you. I can cycle up and down, I don't know if you noticed that, by moving my hand in front of this sensor. Up and down basically raises and lowers the intensity of whatever light you're in. So I'm going to turn that on. I can go here to I'm just in my spot mode. So I can turn it up or down. Or if I go sideways in this case, I can turn on, whoops, it took a second there. I'm getting ahead of it. There we go. I can actually turn on the spotlight and turn off the spotlight with just a quick flick. Come on. Come on. There we go. Like that. There we go. Watching it on a screen, so I'm doing things backwards. But anyway, that's a neat feature. I'm glad Olight is kind of pushing the envelope on technique and etc. You can also see that this one has the magnetic charging versus the USB-C. That can be handy if you want to get home, just throw it on something and then go out again. Or if you prefer the USB-C, which I personally do. Just simply because I may not have that charger with me. So those are the two. Olight's having the sale. There's a link below. You can check that out. And there's a discount coupon code. I'm not sure what all it's on, but they're, time to buy Olights is during their sales. And if you're interested in a headlamp, these are two solid choices. Just decide which direction you want to go. Or post your questions, comments in the section below, the comment section, and I'll see if I can assist if you've got other questions. And with that, Doc out.